Did you know?
We do what we can individually.
Did you know that tomorrow the entire world could choose to reformat the entire government of the entire planet and adopt one constitution because we have cell phones?
Yep.
In the physical reality, on the far edge of probability, I totally get that. It is possible. Because it's only a mental decision for us to go from this incredibly inefficient form of polytheistic management of the planet to a single economic balance where the guy in China digging a ditch deserves the same amount, or needs the same amount of food, housing, clothing. We could decide on a minimum standard of living instead of a minimum wage. We could decide as individuals and whole communities to fix the big problems first, and that everybody's got a job to do, and we'll sort it out by who's got what skills, and anybody close to us that is close to the resume we need, we just train them a little bit more and put them in the job, and the whole world would be so much more efficient.
I just don't see humans doing that.
And that's the part of the meme set. Do you know about memetics?
I know memes in general, but
memes in general really don't explain memetics.
Okay.
Memetics is a branch of sociology that's very, very new. There's a few people that are kind of acknowledged as the first writers on the subject.
Okay.
And what it is the study of how ideas travel through people.
Okay.
Okay? Think of religion as a meme set. Okay? An individual meme is like an idea.
Yes.
The letter A, B, C, D, E, F, G, each of those is like a meme particle.
Okay.
In and of themselves, they don't really tell us much.
Okay.
But when you put three or more of them together in a meaningful word, you have a meme that tells us a little more, but not very much. When you put them together into a meaningful sentence, in a agreeable grammatic structure, then you start to get memes.
Okay.
A meme can be a photograph with no text because the idea is contained within the image.
Right.
It can be a variation on a theme like we see in memes where you have a funny-faced kid with a bunch of different image versions of different text, right?
Yeah.
And they're taking the emotional response we get from the funny-faced kid and applying a statement.
Yes.
Okay? But memetics would be where we study the flow of all of these kinds of things, from heavy stuff for like a religion or a governmental format, or a language, because a language is a meme set. A word is a group of meme particles.
Okay.
And that's my take on it. You're not going to see my fairly updated version anywhere online or in somebody's book because I haven't written that book. If you look up memetics, you're going to see a fair amount of stuff that is confusing and doesn't seem to make sense because it really isn't all that much about memetics. And you're going to see a few authors, if you look beyond there's one guy that is credited as coining the word.
Okay.
And it's kind of like Darwinism versus modern day understanding of evolution. It's expanded a lot from when Darwin came around.
Gotcha. Okay.
And memetics has the potential of moving way beyond our modern kind of understanding of how ideas move.
Okay.
And big data is really a key to mapping out the flow of information.
Right.
But there's a difference in the way we think of things when we say information or data versus ideas or meaning. Jordan Peterson started talking about maps of meaning, where you map out the meanings. And it's one of the things that's affecting our world more strongly than it used to because of our very rapid ability to communicate.
Yeah.
In a whole bunch of different forms. A nation, a culture, is like an operating system. And when it's fairly distant from the other operating system on the other computer, then there's not a lot of conflict.
Right.
But our world socially is shrinking, even though physically it's the same size. And that means that you get not just the culture shock you see from a guy who's never met a white guy and he's from Japan meeting some Italian who shows up on his shore. That's a culture shock, but it's not earth-shaking all that much for the individuals because they still have the Italian still has his ship full of Italians, and the Japanese guy still has his chain of islands full of samurai and sushi cooks. Not to belittle, but to just kind of put it in context.
Yeah.
With a slight edge of humor for fun. But now we have people who really don't understand what their own culture is because Japanese culture is not Japanese culture anymore.
Yeah, it evolves.
It's partially German, it's partially cowboy American in 1952. It's all of the above.
Yeah.
And we're getting children that are growing up with so many nationalities in their schools, no matter where you are on the planet, that they're becoming international figures, psychologies, where their parents are still in shock that their kid comes home wanting to eat sushi, and they're from Finland, okay? Or comes home talking about their friend Hadija when they're from Norway.
Yeah.
And they're really isolationist countries that are proud of their own culture and they don't really want to mix their chocolate with your peanut butter.
There are, yeah.
And it's not entirely a bad thing in certain contexts, but we just don't have much choice anymore. We are homogenizing planet-wide.
Yeah, it's difficult to, because you want to encourage an open mind about other cultures and welcome those cultures in, and yet at the same time, you don't want the culture, your own culture, to disappear amongst the other ones.
And yet, what you're saying right now is kind of regurgitating a very common theme. But there's another thing that I'm trying to get to, and that's that the world